Hello everyone, in this video we are going to see about the storage classes in C. As the name implies, what is the storage classes? When we define the data like int or float or char, and we are storing the data as some format. Okay, so now C has some class of storage, and actually what is the storage classes? It defines the scope, visibility and the lifetime of the variables and or the functions within a C program. Here what is the scope is where the data is visible, where the identifier is visible, that is called as visibility. And what is the lifetime is how long the data exists inside the function or inside the C program, that is the lifetime. Okay, so they precede the type that they modify. We have 4 different storage classes in C: auto, register, static and extern. These are all the 4 storage classes available in C. Let us see one by one what is done. Before that we will see what is the definition for each and how the storage is defined. Okay, now listen here. Storage specifier auto. Auto means the data is stored in the stack. Data is stored in the stack. So what is a stack? Stack is one type of storage process, storage memory, where we are using the last in first out. That is the model of the stack storage. Okay, so in the case of auto specifier, the storage is done in a stack, as a stack. In the case of extern, it is next type. The storage is done as a data segment. Actually in any program we have data segment as well as the code segment. So code segment carries all the code, the program lines, and data segment carries all the data, whether it is like integer data or array data or structured data. So whatever it is, that is preliminary data or secondary data, the data is stored in the data segment. Okay, in the case of static also the same thing happens. The data is stored as a data segment. Okay, and then in case of register specifier, the data is stored as a CPU, because register data is only a single byte data, where it is enough to store the data in the register itself. So register is a shortest or a smallest unit of storage in the system. Okay, so now these are all the 4 things in terms of storage. So when you define the data as an auto or extern or static or register, the data will be stored in the stack or in the data segment or in the CPU register. Okay, what is CPU? CPU is a central processing unit. Okay, and then coming to the next thing, initial value. What is the initial value is what is the initial value of any data. Whenever you define any data in the system may have some initial value based upon what type of storage class it is used. Okay, so when it is auto, it is then garbage value. Garbage value means any data. This you would have noticed in your program execution. Sometimes if you are not giving any proper format, we can get some value as an answer, that is the garbage. Okay, so when you declare the data as extern or static, the answer will be automatically initialized to 0, whether you specify or not. When the data is specified as extern or static, naturally system makes the value as 0. Okay, and then register. When register also contains any garbage value. Actually what is garbage value is the value from the previous execution of the program or something from the operating system. Okay, so this is about the initial values the data may contain. And then coming to the next parameter, scope. What is the scope is when you define the data as an auto, the data exists only within the block, that is like a local variable. Okay, when you define the storage as an extern, then it will become as a global among the multiple files. That means this data which is declared as extern can be shared by many files across the system. That is the global multiple file, that is the scope. Okay, scope means the reachability. And then what is in the case of static, it is within the block, and register also within the block. That means whether it is auto or static or register, the scope of the data is only within the block. That means within it is like a local variable or within a function. But in the case of extern, it can be used across the global. That means many programs can use this data, that is the extern, that is the function of the extern, is also called as a global data. Okay, and then what about the lifetime of the data? What is the lifetime is how long the data exists, that is called as a lifetime. So when you are using the auto or register as the data type, then the lifetime of the data is only within the block, end of the block. So which block you are declaring the variable, it may be in auto or register, whether it is auto or register, where you are declaring, that is the end, that is the lifetime of the block. That means when the data exists from the block, the life is gone. That means the value is, if the value does not exist, that is the meaning of end of the block. So both the case of auto and register, the life of the data is only the end of the block. But when you using extern or static specifier, in that case the life of the data is till end of the program. That means it will can carry the data till the end of the program. That is the use of this extern and static. Okay, now let us see how the data, some advantages of this, and how it is, the syntax is defined. So the auto storage class is the default storage class for all local variables. That means whether you mention or not, auto is the default storage. So just like int mount, the same as auto int month, both are same. Okay, so now here the example about defines two variables within the same storage class. Auto can be used only within the functions, that is the local variables. So auto can be used within the functions. Okay, and then next is the register storage class. The storage class is used to define the local variables that should be stored in a register instead of RAM. RAM is a random access memory. Normally when you store the program, when it starts executing, it will come to the RAM. But if you want the data to store in a register, then you have to mention as a register storage class. This means that a variable has a maximum size equal to the register size. That means a system has some size of the register, that is the maybe 32 bits or 16 bits or 8 bits. Only based on that only the register can hold the data. So to declare, we have to say register and then int and then variable name. This may be int or char or float, whatever it may, but the data storage class is register. Then you can note here also the storage type first comes, then the data type, and then the real variable. Okay, likewise. And what is the advantage of this register storage classes? We can have the quick access, because register is the smallest storage, it is always a faster access. Okay, and then about the static storage, it is similar to the local storage. The static storage class instructs the compiler to keep a local variable in existence during the lifetime of the program instead of creating and destroying it each time it comes into and goes out of the scope. That means when you create a static storage class, this local data will exit till the end of the program. It makes the local variables to maintain the values between the function calls. That means when you call the function, the value is maintained when the static storage class is used. The same syntax only. First you have to give the storage class type, data type, and then the variable name. Okay, and next finally it is an extern storage. Extern storage class is used to give the reference as a global variable that is visible to all the program files. So when you use this extern, the variable cannot be initialized because it is the global variable used by many programs, so we cannot initialize the extern variable. Okay, and then extern is used to declare a global variable or function in then another file. So the thing is that based upon the storage class, the life and the visibility of the data will vary. So C has 4 types of storage classes: auto, static, extern, and register. So that's all the storage classes types. And thanks for watching.